Chi-Chi, a character very underused in the Dragon Ball world. I mean, really, if you compare her to someone like Bulma, she really gets no screen time whatsoever. Bulma may just be a regular person, but her genius keeps her relevant even into the era of Dragon Ball Super. Even though she doesn't have physical strength, she still has a purpose in the Dragon Ball franchise. Chi-Chi, though, well, she had a kid named Gohan, and that was really her legacy. But on this channel, we aim to do what some others have done, however, with our own spin. Today's What If idea is brought to you by the fantastic person by the name of Truly Gaming, a longtime supporter of the channel, and just an awesome fan overall. So thank you so much, Truly Gaming, for today's idea of what if Chi-Chi was a Saiyan. Our story begins not on Earth, but on the planet Vegeta, not long before its destruction. Bardock had just informed Gine of his ideas of what are going to happen, gaining this knowledge from people that are foes, thinking that he would be dead. That being said, Bardock had indeed survived and brought news back to his family. They needed to save their children. But while Bardock was out searching for a pod for Kakarot, Gine grew restless. She was pacing back and forth in their house, realizing this destruction of planet Vegeta meant the end of the Saiyan race as they knew it. Almost all of them would die, including the children and ones that she knew. How could it possibly be fair that her children would survive while everyone else's wouldn't? She hastily came up with a plan. There was one person that she could tell, a friend of hers, another mother, who had a child about the same age as Kakarot, a young girl that she couldn't bear to let die. She rushed over to her house and informed her of the situation, making her promise to keep it a secret. So the knowledge of the destruction of planet Vegeta was passed on from 2 Saiyans to 3. And on that fateful day, one pod wasn't sent from planet Vegeta to the planet Earth, but 2. 2 pods shot through space, escaping the grasp of the Frieza Force and landing fatefully on the planet Earth. However, their locations were not destined to be the same. On 2 separate mountains our pods land, and seemingly as though it were fate, both are recovered by former students of Master Roshi himself. A young boy is recovered by an old man named Gohan, and a young girl is recovered by a man named the Ox King. From that point, things in the Dragon Ball story continue on pretty normally up until Goku and Chi-Chi first meet. When they do, they instantly have a connection, and it isn't just a one-way street this time. Both of them realize they finally met someone that's a lot like them, with both of them having tails. It came as an obvious fact that they were alike in many ways. Although they would part ways, they would definitely keep each other in mind for the future. And the future would indeed come, when the Red Ribbon Army was wreaking havoc through Colonel Silver attacking a village nearby Chi-Chi's home. She was happy to help Goku out in assaulting them. However, Chi-Chi wasn't really afraid like she was in the original series. You see, in the original, she was more hurting these soldiers through her helmet more than anything else, whereas this time around, she knew how to fight. Being a Saiyan child, she wanted to learn how to fight from her father, the Ox King, and although she was bashful and had basically the same personality as she did in the original, she still wanted to learn some martial arts, and learn she did. She and Goku together whooped the Red Ribbon Army's butt in that area, and when they parted ways again, she was even more sad to see him go, asking him about that wedding, and as classic Goku always is, letting her know that he'll try that when he gets back. Because of course, he thinks a wedding is a type of food. More time passes, and this was where things really start to differentiate from the original story. You see, Chi-Chi grows very restless. She misses Goku tremendously. So, she goes out and starts searching for him, the Ox King giving her directions to Master Roshi's island. She arrives there to see a variety of people. Master Roshi, some bald monk-looking person, a wild guy with a scar on his face, and even some animals that could talk. A pig, and some floating thing named Porpor? But sadly, no Goku. She asks about that. I have no idea where that Goku kid went. That little fighter went off to train on his own. Blast him. Turtle School apparently wasn't good enough. I expect we'll see him at the next tournament, though. Say, you're the Ox King's daughter, aren't you? Why don't you stay and train with me? I'll teach you how to fight right, unlike your father. Yamcha barged himself into the conversation. Yeah, why don't you stay for a little bit? Master Roshi here's the best of them all, even though, he's a bit of a perv. You should definitely stick around and learn some moves. The Kamehameha's really freaking cool. And maybe, if you're lucky, I'll even teach you my Wolf Fang Fist. Well, I suppose wherever Goku is, he probably is training. And if I'm going to be a good wife, I better keep up with him too. Something about him. I want to be his best sparring partner too. So, yes, Master Roshi, I'll take you up on your offer, and I'll join in that tournament when it comes around. I'm sure he'll make an appearance. Little did she know that training was an understatement for what Goku was going through. This was the time where he was training with Kami in between the King Piccolo arc and the Piccolo Jr. arc. So more time passes and Chi-Chi trains vigorously under Master Roshi, learning techniques such as the Kamehameha and becoming quite a force to be reckoned with. She even manages to surpass the likes of Krillin and possibly even Tien. And when the day of the tournament arrives, Goku does indeed reappear. But he's not alone in these tournament stands. There's an ominous presence, a green man off in the distance that they're all leering at. That's Piccolo Jr., the offspring of King Piccolo. You better keep your eye on him. He's merciless. Or, at least, his father was. I suppose he could be different, but I'm not holding my breath. Chi-Chi took this to heart, but then she kind of put it on the sideline. Goku was there. She finally made eye contact with him, and the two of them immediately recognized each other. Unlike in the original series where Goku kind of lost her from his mind for a little bit, this was an instant reconnection. The two of them ran to each other and embraced. It had been years since they'd seen each other. The two would eventually face in the ring, and she would lose to him. His training was unparalleled, and he was leagues beyond pretty much anyone else there at the moment. That being said, she put up a much better fight, and Goku immediately recognized that she was such a formidable foe, and he was really taking a liking to her. He even thought, hey, maybe she could receive Kami's training eventually too, and then be on par with him. But for now, he defeated her, and she brought up the wedding again, and he agreed to it, kind of having an idea of what it is this time. It was finally solidified the two of them would end up together, but right now, there was another matter to deal with. On the sidelines, Piccolo Jr. took notice of something. This Chi-Chi fellow. She had a tail around her. Goku seemed to have been gone at that point, but he remembered through his father that that kid once had one as well. They must be very similar in some way. He would definitely keep that in mind for the future. From that point, the story progresses pretty much like it does in the original series. Piccolo is barely defeated by Goku and allowed to escape. Goku and Chi-Chi indeed get married, and they have a child named Gohan. However, after a little bit of time, they notice a certain figure leering around every once in a while. It was none other than Piccolo, a bit more curious than he was in the original series. You see, in the original, he pretty well kept to himself, slowly training and plotting to finally kill Goku. But in this version of the story, he knew that Chi-Chi was like him in some way, that there was something about them that was different than other humans, that made them significantly more powerful, and more of a threat to him. And now, they had a child that also had a tail. This was certainly something to keep his eyes on. One day in the woods, when Gohan is about 3 years old, he and Chi-Chi are just walking about when Piccolo interrupts them. Goku isn't around at the moment, so he decides to take advantage of the situation. But Chi-Chi knew this day would come. They all knew that Piccolo was leering about all the time, and they figured that one day when Goku wasn't about, Piccolo would try to strike. She stands her ground bravely and fights Piccolo with everything she's got. And although Piccolo is indeed more powerful, the margin isn't as high as he thought it would be. As it so turned out, she had not been going all out for a very long time. She was holding back constantly, and she let loose on Piccolo with all her might, giving him a real run for his money. And eventually, when she's defeated, he just kind of stands over her. The reason he's hesitating confused even him, though. You see, he could sense Goku fast approaching, but he could quickly kill Chi-Chi and escape. No, that wasn't it. He looked over at Gohan, who was wailing his eyes out, just absolutely crying with all his might. and he realized something. These aren't the people that he was after. Goku was the person he wanted to defeat. Why on earth was he trying to kill Chi-Chi? Was it out of spite from his own father? Just general hatred? It didn't feel right. He looked down at Chi-Chi. Be honest with me. If your son's life wasn't in danger, would you have enjoyed this fight we just had? Enjoyed it? What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm saying. If your son's life weren't in danger, would this have just been another sparring match to enjoy, just like the ones with your husband? Piccolo stepped away from her, giving her a little bit of room. Confusingly, she sat up, realizing that the tension seemingly had disappeared. Well, yeah, I suppose so. I enjoy fighting. Of course you do. You and Goku are exactly alike. I bet that kid'll grow up to be a heck of a fighter as well. Alright. It pains me to say it, but I suppose I'm sorry for the way I went about this. I won't bother you all again. At least, not in a way that's a life and death situation. But your husband, Goku, I'm still after him. So don't think I'm some good guy now. I'm leaving. Piccolo, even surprised by his own action, hastily left the scene, filled with embarrassment that he had actually just shown mercy, completely defying the actions and willpower of his own father and every instinct that he possibly had. Chi-Chi, although she was battered and bruised, had a smile on her face. She realized Goku was kind of right to let him go. Even though she was the one that got pummeled, the fact of the matter is, he might not be that bad of a guy. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? This version of Chi-Chi is a lot more ferocious, and not just verbally. Physically speaking, she is almost on par with Piccolo, just a bit below him, enough for him to defeat her. However, she's got some healing to do, and that means a Zenkai boost. Going into the era of Z, things might end up very different. So give me your ideas of what you guys think about this series, and if this is your first time with this channel, check out this ongoing series of What If Raditz Fought Goku at Kame House. It's my longest running run yet by a long shot, and it has been a blast to make so far. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.